So it all started with a Discord message.
Das nächste Event wird Halloween sein, aber einige Ersteller hatten die Idee, etwas für Marvel als Jubiläum-Special zu machen. Wir planen eine Nachstellung von Endgame. Wäre das etwas für Sie? Wir alle bauen eine Toybox für jeden Stein und Sie alle senden sie mir, ich verbinde sie und dann können wir sie in der Datenbank veröffentlichen. Wir sind Infinite Ring Adventures, 72 Pringle, Poppa-H, the Bowtie Guy und ich.
Wow, that would make me number 6. Just the right amount. Just let me know which stone and I'll start on my research/brainstorming. At that moment, I felt as lost as a penguin in the Sahara Desert, but I don't recall ever failing at anything in life. Anything that I stuck to, that is. So I pressed on. I watched Infinity War and Endgame for the first time in June 2025. Late to the party, I know. But after all that Me Too, Mary Sue, and fandom menace crap, I didn't want anything to do with Marvel. Catch my drift? I was done with it, or so I thought. Both those Marvel movies took me back to a time when I actually loved comic books. So eventually, LiontHD formulated a Toybox timeline and assigned the roles. Well, leave it to me to be the catalyst for changing what was written. But it wasn't intentional. You see, I originally was assigned the toy boxes depicting the last battle only, starting after the initial bombing of the Avengers campus in upstate New York. However, I needed to have a destroyed facility as my main play area. I saw the one that Poppa-H had created. Oh, Poppa-H, he's another Disney Infinity content creator. One of the best, actually. Come to think of it, everybody that was drafted for this project can be considered the best in their field of work in regards to toy box creation. So in the meantime, I figured I was going to start with the Hawkeye level. It's where Hawkeye is in the basement of the campus. He finds the Infinity Glove and has to stave off Thanos' Outriders. This level started off as a side-scroller, but due to twists and turns because of the tunnel areas, I had to evolve it into a third-person POV. It went through a few renditions, but it wasn't that difficult. After all, I've been making sewer-based levels for toy boxes and Disney Infinity for the last 10 years, starting with 2.0. And after working out the kinks and getting the approval from LiontHD, it was time to figure out how to get the next phase together. I needed a destroyed Avengers compound in order to do that. I needed one that was going to look like the other non-destroyed version that Poppa-H was going to use. Anywho, I saw Poppa-H's work on his Avengers Compound toy box, and I wondered if I could get it downloaded. If I could somehow get it in my possession, I could change it, destroy it. Well, being new to the group, I didn't want to be forward and ask him for his toy box. It's kind of like two fellow guitarists together. One of them has an amp and the other one doesn't, and one of the guitarists asks if he could share the amplifier, the guitar amps that have two inputs, regular or high and low, I should say. You just don't do that. It breaks the bro code, something like that. But like I said, it was his creation that was going to be used for the destruction of the base. So I had asked LiontHD. I mean, that's kind of weak, right? I asked beat around the bush and ask somebody else, can you ask him for me? Yeah. So LiontHD actually pointed me to a live stream that Poppa-H had posted years ago when he actually built the base itself. So, of course, trying to follow a Let's Build step by step from a live stream isn't always the easiest. So I had to improvise. I scoured the internet for weeks looking for images, videos, and 3D models. Well, I say weeks, probably days, but days turn into weeks, right? I'll come to find out that the main building for the campus is actually the Porsche building in Georgia. So I spent an entire day, maybe it was 2 days, hard to remember now, so many sleepless nights, recreating Poppa-H's version of the compound and comparing it to multiple images I downloaded over the weeks, and I finally got it finished, without mods. However, I did do a version with mods, just to make sure I had one for my collection. And then I presented it to the team. Well, they really liked it. In fact, that's what was used in all the toy boxes in this project. Well, with some alterations, of course.
I see. So, they took your hard work and changed it. Did they make it worse?
No, it's not like that at all. These alterations were for the best. You see, when we take what another has built and build on it, we can only make it better.
But doesn't that go against your own biblical doctrine? Unless I should build on another person's foundation.
You're referring to Romans 15:20 and you're taking it out of context. 1 Corinthians 3:10 says, I have laid the foundation and another builds thereon. But every man take heed how he builds thereon. In other words, when you respect the foundation, you can only improve it. If you disrespect it, you're going to ruin it. We respect each other. We improve. That's what we do. We've become a team and we respect each other's work. Therefore, we can only make each other's work better. Hey, who's the shrink here? Maybe I should send you the bill.
No worries, I will deduct 10 minutes off your bill.
So finishing the compound was actually the easy part. Now I'd been given the assignment of doing the events leading up to and including the bombardment from Thanos' ship, which takes place before the Hawkeye level. So the test bombing, which consisted of about 30 to 40 different path creators, each with effects going from Thanos' ship to the base, was posted as unlisted on YouTube on July 4th, which here in America is Independence Day. This was going to be something of a teaser for a fireworks display. As, the holiday things, you get more views because it's the holiday and, Thanos' ship. And, I was going to get views because, my views are kind of doing poorly. So I'm thinking incorrectly, but it's a good thing the things went the way they did because I would have spoiled the surprise for a few people.
Why do you say this? What happened?
Well, let's just say LionTHD wasn't a fan of the original camera shots.
You sound like you have resentment against this Lion King person.
No, not at all. Let's say he was okay with the first bit of bombing. Everything that would have followed would have been subpar. Remember the foundation? If I created my own foundation poorly and then built upon it, what would have happened?
Yes, the entire structure would have crumbled.
Why am I here again?
So, then what happened?
Our team met in our regular Thursday night group, and Infiniteer showed us...
Who is this Infiniteer?
Well, he's kind of like our leader.
Oh, I thought that this Lion King was your leader.
Well, I suppose it's kind of like a dual thing, kind of like Danny Zuko and Kaneki.
Who?
The T-Birds, Grease, it was a movie and a Broadway musical. Never mind. How about Don Henley and Glenn Fry?
Yes, the bird people in the California hotel.
Yes, the Eagles. Can we move on? I have some mods to finish before the end of October.
Very sorry. Please continue.
So as I was saying, Infiniteer showed us some older toy boxes of his going way back, showing off the different camera angles that he used to achieve different effects. Effects that I never knew how to achieve. So I took these effects and put them to use with the bombing effects. Then I put the logic together and proceeded on building a mock interior, which is actually underneath the main toy box. This primarily consisted of the entire dialogue between the Avengers on who was going to wear the newly created Infinity Glove. The other thing I had to consider was the cutscene with Nebula activating the portal to bring Thanos through to 2023. And a big part of these scenes are the sound effects and the music choices, which you don't get to hear in the YouTube playthrough, even though I've stressed it time and again. Here's something that not everybody knows. When you use Logic toys, you need some sort of background music or sound effects to drown out the high-pitched hum that's emitted from said Logic toys.
I watched the video, and I did not hear anything.
Well, I am a bat.
Very true. So, then what happened next?
Well, I finished the level, presented it to the team, and they loved it. One thing to note is that there was originally a more cinematic final explosion before the next toy box was to begin, which wasn't removed until it was discovered that the PlayStation version of the Disney Infinity game couldn't handle the large number of simultaneous explosions going off. Go figure. After that, I began the next toy box, which I had to do over 3 times.
Due to this Lion King?
No, it was due to the movie's inconsistencies. You see, when the initial bombing of the campus takes place, the Sanctuary 2, which is Thanos' ship, is in one position. Then after the destruction, the ship is shown off to the left of the campus. However, when the second bombing occurs, it's hard to tell where it is because consistency is thrown out of the window in favor of movie magic.
It was necessary to cheat the scale of the crater sequence by sequence because the path that the gauntlet takes to the van was many times longer than the width of the crater.
So the battlefield was actually made bigger than the actual map of the Avengers campus, otherwise Ant-Man's van would have been clearly visible, as the area was actually smaller. You want to talk about more inconsistencies? When Hope and Scott fly off to go to the van, the next scene after they are going to the van or get to the van, the next scene shows Giant Man, who is Ant-Man, because the pin particles allow him to go big and small. The next scene is a miscut because there's Ant-Man again in battle as Giant Man. And don't try to come up with some theory that Wong brought a doppelganger Scott in. No, it was a cutting room mishap. There's no explanation for it. It was a mess up. They messed it up. Right? So if they can mess stuff up, how am I supposed to get things accurate? Because I know people love their accuracy. If the movie's messed up, then I don't care about consistency.
So then, how did you achieve this?
So, since the CG artist from the movie didn't care about scale, why should I? The only thing I was concerned about was having a ship depicted to the heroes according to the shot where Thanos gives his long speech. And then, move it to a place where it made sense in relation to Ant-Man's van in the toy box. Therefore, because I couldn't move the ship on path creators due to the amount of path creators I was going to use for the bombing, I had to make 2 separate toy boxes split up for the final battle in 2 different levels.
You also made the ship crash, is that correct?
Yes, and I also made it break apart due to a suggestion from Poppa-H.
So how many of these path creators did you use?
Oh, I don't know, 50, 60. After like 10 or 15, they begin to disappear even though they're still there. Plus, I had to use path creators to make portal effects and to make those drop ships crash. So maybe I used 70 or more, but I didn't do the portal effects until later. I didn't even do the bombing effects until later now that I think of it. You see, at this point in time, my main goal was to get the ship to crash. Because if I couldn't crash it, then I'd have to go back to the drawing board. Thankfully, it worked. Oh, and also, next to the crash, the second priority was to make it look as if Captain Marvel was the cause of the ship crashing.
And then what?
I took a 2-week break.
So then, what did you do for your break?
Played a video game, Mandragora, if memory serves.
Was it any good?
Gameplay's great. Not too keen on the main storyline. Side quests are okay.
Ah, yes. Seems like a good trade-off.
What can I say? I'm a sucker for a good Metroidvania. Anyway, after the break, I finished up with the path creators and the storyline dialogue. Lots of explosions and multiple events. I had to do my best to incorporate what I could based on the movie. And my advice to creators out there, sacrificing decent sleep can result in multiple do-overs, especially when it comes to logic. Man, I had triggers, switches, time delayers, text creators all over the place. And I'd get confused sometimes on which was which. But it all worked out in the end.
Since you play on the PC, have you noticed any differences between that and the PlayStation?
Oh, absolutely. For one thing, the friendly wave generator is supposed to have options for spawned character actions. Not so on PC. I had to use the basic friend spawner, which meant I had to use one for each character and reuse certain ones for other characters in different cutscenes to save space. I had to get the most out of one of them, and I probably could have condensed it even more, but there's so much stuff going on, I just put it down and did what I did. Another thing that's different is the boss fight spawner. In the PC version, it automatically resets after the boss is defeated, allowing you to use a repeater or a time delayer / logic gate loop. However, with the PlayStation version, you have to program the boss fight spawner to reset after defeat and then spawn again. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. This is why in my original version, Hulk respawns, but he doesn't respawn in the console version. We fixed it for Green Goblin because we kinda had to, but we forgot to do it for Hulk. Oops.
Well, Mr. Bart, my suggestion to you is to take some well-needed rest and relaxation.
What do you recommend?
What do you do to relax? Any hobbies?
You're kidding me, right?
No, Mr. Bart, I do not kid.
This is my hobby.
A hobby that has deadlines?
Look, just tell me how much I owe you so I can get out of here and start working on my mod again.
Let's see, minus the 10 minutes mentioned earlier, that will be $14,899.99.
Great. I'll just send the bill to the Lion King. Ciao.